Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, it is with great pleasure that we extend a warm welcome to our esteemed dignitaries joining us for the inaugural session. I have the honor and the privilege of inviting Mr. Timothy Curtis, Director of UNESCO, New Delhi. I request Dr. B. Shadrach, Director CEMCA, to join us on stage. Ms. Vasudha Gupta, Principal Director General AIR, may I request you to please join us on stage? Akashvani. And finally, not to forget to welcome the visionary behind it all, Mrs. Archana Kapoor, the founder of the Radio Festival. Now, I would like to invite Mrs. Archana Kapoor to deliver the welcome speech and set the tone for today's discussion and deliberations. Please, ma'am.
You all know I love talking. So I've already taken a little bit of your time in the morning, but now is a formal welcome to everyone. So it's a great, great, great pleasure to welcome the dignitaries on the dais and each one of you in the audience for the 7th edition of the Radio Festival, celebrated for the last 7 years on World Radio Day. So a big hand to the World Radio Day, which has got all of us together here. I remember very well last year, standing right here, I had said that the 6th edition is very special because we were celebrating the 6th edition of the Radio Festival under the aegis of G20. We had the logo of G20 on our panel, and we were really, really honored to be part of the entire year's celebrations. We had the logo on all our collaborations, and we also had the Secretary G20 address the audience here. This year is even more special. As one of my colleagues said, ma'am, it's only getting bigger and bigger. So this year is even more special because we are celebrating 100 years of radio and 20 years of community radio. We have a message from the Honorable President of India, Her Excellency Srimati Draupadi Murmu, which we will be sharing very soon. She has blessed the Radio Festival. It's a very, very big thing for all of us in the sector. And we are waiting for Ms. Neerja Sekhar, Additional Secretary, who we all know is one of our biggest supporters in the ministry. And under her leadership and guidance, this sector has touched new heights. So today is a momentous occasion as we gather to commemorate 2 remarkable milestones in the history of communication. It is an occasion to look back and reflect on the profound impact that radio has had on our society, our culture, and our lives. Over the past century, radio has evolved and adapted to the changing times, but its essence remains unchanged. It is a medium that speaks directly to an individual, transcends boundaries of language, geography, and culture. Radio has inspired generations through its diverse content. Through storytelling, it has entertained, informed, and it has preserved the diversity and plurality of this country. It has been witness to some of the most pivotal moments in our country's history, from the struggle for independence to the birth of a new republic, from the challenges of nation building to the triumphs of progress and development. It has been a voice for the voiceless, amplifying the hopes and aspirations of ordinary citizens like us, and serving as a platform for dialogue, debate, and dissent. It has represented the collective aspirations and dreams of millions of producers and listeners from the metros to the remotest corners of this country. We are aware that not only Akashvani has the permission to broadcast news, but then radio is not all about politics and news alone. It is about culture, it is about music, it is about art. It is the melody of Lata Mangeshkar's voice echoing through the airwaves, the rhythm of Ravi Shankar's sitar resonating in our hearts, and the laughter of Amin Sayani filling our homes with joy. It is the memory of listeners from Jhumri Talaiya and Banka, Bihar. It is a repository of classical music and filmy music. It is the stories of Premchand and Tagore coming alive in our imagination, and the poetry of Ghalib and Faiz stirring our souls. Radio has the unique ability to forge connections and foster a sense of community amongst its listeners. Whether it's through interactive talk shows, dedicated music programs, or live coverage of local events, radio brings people together, uniting them in a shared experience of unity, diversity, culture, and heritage. As we celebrate 100 years of radio, let us not look back with nostalgia, but also look forward with optimism and enthusiasm to the future of radio, to the possibilities and the challenges. Let us not look at the advent of digital technology and the internet as a threat, but as an opportunity for radio to reach even greater heights, new audiences, and exploring new frontiers. Let us build on the timeless appeal of radio, its warmth, its intimacy, and its ability to touch the heart of millions. To search and nurture new talent, let us continue to cherish and support this enduring medium, ensuring that it remains a vibrant and vital part of our cultural landscape for generations to come. To conclude, on the occasion of the World Radio Day and the 7th edition of the Radio Festival, let us together celebrate this historic milestone and pay tribute to all our pioneers, visionaries, and unsung heroes who have contributed to the rich tapestry of Indian radio over the past century. And let us reaffirm our commitment to preserving and promoting this invaluable heritage for the benefit of future generations. Thank you so much. We have in our audience some who represent the older generation, many who represent the new generation, our friends from Malaysia and Sri Lanka and Australia and across the globe. Thank you once again. And here's to another 100 years of radio. Let's unmute and keep it on loud. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for setting the tone for the day so beautifully. Now I would like to invite my colleague Nitika Kakkar from the TRF team to read out the message sent by the Honorable President of India, Her Excellency Ms. Murmu.
A very good morning to all of you. The message has also been displayed on the screen for your benefit. I'm delighted to know that the 7th edition of the Radio Festival is being hosted on the occasion of the World Radio Day on 13th February 2024 at the India International Centre, New Delhi. The World Radio Day is a celebration of significance of radio in mass communication and in promoting the diversity of culture across the globe. The Radio Festival brings together all the 3 tiers of radio broadcasting in India: public, private, and community radio. Radio has been one of the most effective mass communication media that has been a faithful companion to millions, bridging distances, sharing stories, and fostering a sense of community. The year 2024 is special as the country has completed 100 years of radio broadcast. It is an opportunity to emphasize the importance of local languages in communicating with the audience and to highlight extraordinary role of women in radio's journey. I extend my best wishes to the success of the Radio Festival. Srimati Draupadi Murmu ji, New Delhi, February 10th, 2024.
Thank you, Nitika. This is really big. We are so grateful to the President and to the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting for this gesture. I now invite Mr. Timothy Curtis to shed more light on World Radio Day and celebrate its significance here at the Radio Festival. Please, sir.
Thank you, namaste, and good morning, everyone. Dr. Vasudha Gupta, Director General of All India Radio. Dr. B. Shadrach, Director of CEMCA. And of course, Ms. Archana Kapoor, the founder of this radio festival. It is really a great pleasure and honor for me to be here today on behalf of UNESCO to celebrate the 2024 World Radio Day. I'd like to first and foremost thank the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting and Prasar Bharati for their generous support, without which this event would not have been possible. I'm also pleased to highlight that Prasar Bharati has already committed to financially and materially supporting World Radio Day celebrations until 2026, which is excellent news and augurs well for the future and growth of this event. Our gratitude, as always, goes to Archana Kapoor, the founder of this radio festival, for her tireless and enthusiastic efforts and contributions towards making the celebration of World Radio Day in India an event that radio operators, and particularly community radio practitioners, look forward to with great anticipation. This year's global theme on World Radio Day looks back at the contribution radio has made over the last century by, and I quote, informing, entertaining, and educating our world. It is undisputable that during this period, radio has been the least expensive and most accessible broadcast medium to humanity. And we can confidently say that most of us still hold fond and unforgettable memories of how radio touched our lives. For many communities, this affection for radio is still very much alive today. In every part of the globe, radio continues to play its most distinctive role of bringing communities together, fostering a dialogue for positive change by providing a platform for all voices to be heard and represented. It is the democratic value of radio that sets it apart, perhaps from some of the other media forms, by serving as a grassroots catalyst for connectedness within often underserved groups. And in that way, it's also significantly contributing to achievements of SDG 16 on public access to information. Radio bridges linguistic, cultural, and literacy barriers to reach the most vulnerable population groups, reaching what is known as remote media dark areas, to provide critical information, often saving lives. The utilitarian value of radio also comes to the fore as a relatively free and portable public safety net during emergencies, power outages, and natural and human-induced disasters. The opportunity provided by the 100-year-plus milestone of radio begs to be trumpeted by everyone at full volume. Studies have shown that radio has maintained its popularity and enormous public trust over the years. At the same time, we should acknowledge that today, this medium faces increased challenges, be it from social media, digital media advancements, or generational divides. It is reasonable to expect, therefore, that radio will evolve as well to take advantage of these emerging powerful digital technologies. In India, UNESCO enjoys a fruitful collaboration with numerous partners in the radio sector, particularly in the field of community radios. Several projects have been implemented over the years to build the capacity of community radio practitioners, and these efforts have been supported by global resources and tools, as well as tools from our region, such as the Toolkit on Communicating Sustainable Development Goals, produced with SMART, a manual on strengthening gender-sensitive practices and programming in community radio, which was published with the UNESCO Chair on Community Media at the University of Hyderabad, as well as the best practices of community radio and sustainable development goals developed with the Commonwealth Educational Media Centre for Asia, CEMCA, and these are just to mention a few. In recent years, we've all seen that misinformation and disinformation have emerged as phenomena that generally threaten public trust in the media. Untruths have become easier to propagate through media in almost every area of public concern, and this weakens social cohesions as well as development efforts. UNESCO has been promoting media and information literacy to counter these practices and will push for more measures going forward, particularly through up-to-date reporting skills development and the formulation of media policies. In line with the International Decade of Indigenous Languages, 2022 to 2032, UNESCO is also prioritizing the role of radio in preserving and promoting Indigenous languages and heritage. Radio's contribution to climate literacy and raising awareness on essential climate action cannot be overemphasized, and we count on all of your support to make a difference on the ground. So this occasion gives us the opportunity to jointly celebrate the remarkable achievements by radio to stay relevant during the past 100 years and continue to this day as a force for freedom of expression, entertainment, and knowledge sharing. As we proudly tell the stories of its history, let's also welcome radio's future for the next century. So happy World Radio Day to everyone. Thank you very much.
I'm delighted to inform all of you that we are joined by Ms. Neerja Sekhar, Additional Secretary, Minister of Information and Broadcasting. Welcome, ma'am. Moving forward, I would like to invite DG Akashvani, Vasudha Gupta, to reflect on the remarkable journey of All India Radio. Please, ma'am.
Namaskar. Suprabhat. I was initially thinking, let me have this small talk, maybe like, the Hindi-English mix. But then I think with all the dignitaries at the dais, it's better if I try to make it more English-oriented, simply. We all are in communication, and unless we are able to really convey what we want to convey, then obviously we are not really doing either our job or even like entertainment, whatever you want to call it. Having said that, let me very quickly come to what I have been asked to talk about. I will start with the very fact, whatever is there on the screen, the message from our Honorable President of India. Actually today, we had a program in the morning where she has discussed, I should not say discussed, she has talked about her journey from a very, very small place in Odisha to the President House. So what I was just trying to say with this particular incident, that how the things are always connected. We are talking about radio. And as I was just discussing before we formally started, to me, the whole 100-year journey, even if I say of Akashvani, a reflection has taught one thing. Do not misunderstand the concept. Because radio is sound medium. It is not really a small box, which is called a transistor or a radio set or whatever. We were just listening to a very small this thing, like, the challenge from the social media. No, that's a compliment to us. With the changing technology, like in Akashvani, we were very proudly saying that there are basically the two verticals of this whole radio business. One is the carriage, the other is the content. Now, carriage has been taken care by the technology. We very proudly, I am able to say at any point of time, that Akashvani in India has its reach all across. But whatever were the issues of the carriage, one by one it's being taken care by the technology. Because every time, any discussion at any point of time, whether radio is alive or not, was moving only around the technology. Medium wave is not audible, the radio sets are not available, which is still the case. Idea is, as very rightly even acknowledged by our Honorable President, we are a mass medium. To me, actually, the radio, when I say radio, the sound medium is the mass medium. Everything else has its own pluses and minuses. Because being in media for almost 35 years by now, we can always talk about the print media versus the audio media versus the visual media. But just keep on reflecting the moment technology has brought whatever we call as social media platforms. Everything has started converging. So what we need in radio now is going back to the basics of the content. See, as I said, we can really get into any medium. Books, could you think anybody would have ever thought, our elders, or even like 30 years back, the concept of audiobook? So whether you will call it radio or you will call it print medium. So my point is very clear. The carriage, how you are reaching people, is now secondary. The important is the content. And when I say content, I am very clear the way we are doing at Akashvani. It is, you cannot have whatever was there 100 years back. The whole socio-economic systems were different. Formats were different. So as when we started, we were talking about the preservation, and I think all of you would agree with me that Akashvani is really one organization which has the real repository of Indian culture in terms of everything. And from there only we started getting into this particular point, that the content and the format. So what we are actually doing is, any content at Akashvani in India is basically into 3 segments. One I call pure information, where basically the news comes, not even the news-based program, because it has its own dynamics. Like all of us know the authenticity and all those factors, and they are the reasons. Then comes the infotainment, which is basically now we are literally, I should say, focusing on. And the last is the pure entertainment. Because in pure entertainment, again, somehow over the time, everything was moving towards music only. And within the music also, especially the songs. And it happened with us. In Akashvani, I am not saying it with any, say, like, using word here and there. Our focus started shifting towards the Bollywood music. So now what we are doing, we are trying to again focus on the traditional music, the musical instruments. Now we have our weekly program so that the new content is being generated. And even on the other side, the entertainment, the regional music. It can be the regional movies. I give you an example. We have one segment, or not actually, like, the channel cannot have the complete system, the Vivid Bharati setup. Now the Vivid Bharati Udiya earlier was having only 2 hours of Udiya content. Rest was from Mumbai. Now it is getting other way around. Because there is no dearth of the content in that particular language. And this is happening across the country. What I can just share right at this moment is Akashvani is a very unique organization in the world. First, the public broadcaster, and secondly, the organization which has the content, everyday content, in 23 languages and 182 dialects. This number of 182 keep on increasing at times, but 182 dialects are being broadcast with different time frames every day. So why I am just saying these things, like, to me, there is no question of survival. Because to me it is very clear that nothing can actually take place of the sound medium. So that is why I just thought, let me just put these 2 points so that all of us work together towards these things. And one more advantage of the social media is now, if anything is on the Akashvani platform, any of X, YouTube, Instagram, website, anybody can use it. We are public broadcaster. So I remember, I am saying this because as we said, this is 7th edition or whatever, how people can use it. Idea was the accessibility. So we are using social media platforms in 2 ways. Not only reaching to the listener, but also to the people who want to use it. And for making life much easier in that sense, most of us know, our programs like Spotlight, like all the youth in a particular, say 20 to 40 year, generally love to have that. So now the transcript is also there. So if you want to translate, AI has given us all the power now. Our idea is to reach people. Akashvani is really into the role of public broadcaster. So that is why I always feel, as such, radio has no competition. Only thing is, we have to reorient ourselves. When I said reorient, very clearly earlier, it was the musical programs which were recorded or had the direct broadcast. Those concepts are now not really that relevant. So that is why we have to make the products. Even as we were just discussing, all of us have the interviews. One anchor, 2 experts, 1-to-1, the things. What is podcast? Having a video of the same thing. So what I am just trying to say is, with the change, to keep pace with the changing environment around us in the media field, we just need to reorient our content and the categories of the content. Now the internet and everything has made information available to us. We are actually doing at Akashvani, so it's very easy to me to say all these things, but that's why I just said we have to keep our eyes open because lot of content is available and every particular station, how they are going to use and package that information, it is up to us. So I will just finish at this point with the 2 things. One is we are a sound medium, and secondly, content, we have to reorient ourselves, and Akashvani is helping everyone as We are on all social media platforms. And the Akashvani website, in addition to News on AIR, on air website, have all kinds of contents now, and from across the country, in all these languages and dialects. So information is available to be used freely by the private or the community radio. So with this, once again, thank you so much. Thanks again.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for making time. I know you have been traveling, you're very heavily jet lagged, but still, you have made time for us and here. I am so honored and feel so privileged after, all this flip-flop, all's well that ends well. We have with us Secretary MIB, Mr. Sanjay Jaju. A big hand to sir. We have Additional Secretary, Ms. Neerja Sekhar, I mentioned even in my speech in the morning. I'm not going to take much time, but sir, it's an honor, it's a privilege to have you here. We know that you have just taken over, it's not even a week, and you have made time for this event. It only shows that in your priorities, radio is very important. Community radio is more important because you know that this is organized by community radios, and we know that under your leadership and guidance, we are all going to reach new heights. It's a very special festival. As I mentioned earlier also, we have the message of the President of India for community radios, for radio. That was possible only because of ma'am and sir who sent the request from their end. We have Mr. Jaju, who has just taken over. We have Tim Curtis with us, who is only 4 months old in India. So a big hand to today and to Secretary for making time. Sir, I know you're busy. I'm not going to take much time, but I would like you to release 2 publications. So one, we have worked with CEMCA. Dr. Shadrach is here on the dais with us. We have built a climate literacy curriculum, a systematic curriculum for climate literacy for community media, and now we are working towards a multimedia course based on the same curriculum. More about it later. And sir, this was a vision of Additional Secretary to have a picture postcard book on community radios and the work that they do. So I request you to please release that, and then, the dais is yours, sir. The podium is yours. So I would like to request Secretary, sir, to please say a few words to this audience which has been waiting eagerly for you.
Tim Curtis, Country Director for UNESCO. Neerja Sekhar, our Additional Secretary in the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. The person of the hour, as they say, Archana Kapoor, founder of the Radio Festival. Vasudha Gupta ji, DG AIR. Dr. Shadrach, hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Director CEMCA. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, it's indeed a matter of great privilege that I could make it to the Radio Festival and be part of the celebrations that are going on. Believe me, we are all from the generation which has actually been brought up on radios. I mean, be it for entertainment, be it for news, those were the times when we were completely dependent on radio for everything that we actually aspired, from morning to evening till the day breaks next day. And I'm very happy that this radio festival, and I understand this is the 7th edition of the radio festival that you've been organizing here on the World Radio Day. And very happy that, all the 3 tiers of broadcasting in as far as radio is concerned. We have the public broadcaster, the All India Radio, the private broadcasters, you can see many of you here, and also the community radio. And all of you come together to celebrate this radio festival. We have one event happening in Chennai today, and we have an event happening here. And we're very happy that Ministry is part of both the events. Our Honorable Minister and the Minister of State is gracing the Chennai event currently. Friends, all of you would agree that, when it comes to governance, reaching out to the last mile, reaching out to the people who are on the margins is one of the very important commitments. While now we have multiple channels to do it, there were times when I think radio was the only means available. And even today, with the technological advancement that has come in, you still find that radio occupies a pivotal place, goes to show that this medium's age is still not done. It's evolving, it's developing, it's creating its own grammar, it's creating its own paradigm. And I think that's what is going to keep radios alive. And I think that's what makes us all come together, sit together, discuss, deliberate, and carve out strategies to make ourselves more meaningful in the years to come, in the times to come. Friends, community radios in our country have, I'm told, a history of almost 20 years now. And we have more than 481 community radio stations operating within our country. And that's a huge number if you compare it with, say, some 388 private channels and some 500 Akashvani channels. So you have close to about 1,500 channels operating within our country. And that's a great number. But when it comes to community radio, as I understand, many of you belong to that particular segment. This is a segment which actually is almost a version of what we call it as a social media in the current parlance. It's a version that provides a lot of interactions. It's a version that provides a lot of collaboration. It's a version that can allow us to do a lot of engagements with the local community. And engagements with the local community, community participation and partnerships are integral to any effort that we make to raise the living standards of the communities. Because it's not just top down, but it's actually the bottom up approach that works here, because you kind of get the feedback from the community about the issues that concern them, be it on health, be it on education, be it on their livelihoods, and all those issues can then get funneled into the programs that are being made for them. And through my experience in the government, I've realized programs which are made through participation, programs that come out of the feedback that we receive from the ground, programs that are dynamic and reactive to the feedback that you get from the ground are the programs that actually deliver the best outcomes. And I think community radios do play a huge role in this regard. At the same time, there are multiple international organizations. You have UNESCO participating today, you have various ministries and government departments. And I think this is a time that we have to look at the community radios and try to figure out how you ensure that they have adequate content in this age when we have infinite content available. In fact, the kind of information load that you have, as I read somewhere that the information that we handle now in a day is that has to be converted into some kilobytes, gigabytes, and terabytes, and compare it to the information our ancestors, say 400 years or even 300 years back, were handling, I think the information that they handled all their life is possibly being handled by us in about an hour. If we have to convert that into the terabytes of information, so it will be like so many terabytes in their entire life, and those many terabytes basically for us in an hour. So we can understand the information explosion that's taking place and a lot of content being created. But it's also important that similar initiatives are in place for the community radio. And it's not very difficult because you're working at fairly decentralized and grassroots level. Provided we are able to give you capacities, I think events like this, events which happened yesterday, I think those will go a long way in ensuring you have good capacity to do it. At the same time, you are able to sustain your works financially, because ultimately all these channels are being operated, if not for profit reasons, at least they have to break even for them to be sustained in over a long run. So we'll try and do that as much as we can. We have various programs and initiatives and schemes which supports community radios within our country, because we understand they are not on the financial even keel. But at the same time, it's also important that we understand that we also have the program and the advertising code which we have for Akashvani applicable to other medias as well. And friends, I think it's this collaboration which possibly will ensure that radio as a media survives. Radio as a media continue to play a huge role in bringing in positive social change. At the same time, friends, I understand that you work at local level, and India is a huge country, diverse country with a fairly diversified portfolio of not just social attributes, but diversified portfolio of culture, language, dance forms, and I'm sure all of you will be bridging that gap to bring it upwards from the levels at which it actually flourishes. I'm also told that there's some good news for all of you. Our Honorable Minister has just announced certain measures to further improve the community radios within our country. I think there were some restrictions on an organization to have community radio stations. Now, I think that has been relaxed. An organization can have now 6 community radio stations, so that would possibly help. There were possibly representations on the initial permissions and the number of years for which such permissions are applicable. I think now that's been increased from 5 years to 10 years. So that's again another reform that possibly you all would be liking. And I think you had some restrictions on the duration of the advertisements that you could do within an hour. Earlier, I think you had restrictions of 7 minutes within an hour, and that has been extended to 12 minutes in an hour. So I think these 3 changes possibly would help you to bring financial sustainability to the efforts that you have been putting. And I'm very confident that in future also will remain live to your problems, and would ensure that the radios of all kinds, be it in public, private, or in the community, are flourishing and remain a bedrock of our information and broadcasting initiatives that we take up within our country. So once again, my congratulations to all of you, and also apologies. We have been dealing with some difficult situations, so that's why it was slightly iffy for me to be here. But I'm very happy that I could come here, albeit I'll not be able to spend too much of a time. But still, I'm very happy that I have been part of this event. Congratulate the organizers for coming up with such novel initiatives. I also wish all of you success, and I also wish this festival would be continuing in the years to come. Thank you very much.
fun of, but every festival we have a bag. Some RJs say, is it full of money? And we say, no, just full of hope and ideas. This is a climate sigil. We continue. Now you can give this. I'll move it. That's better.
Moving forward, I would like to welcome Dr. B. Shadrach, Director CEMCA, to share a brief on the climate curriculum. Please, sir.
Thank you so much. Shri Sanjay Jaju, who has just left, the Secretary of Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Srimati Neerja Sekhar, our dear Additional Secretary, who has been the stalwarts, and congratulations, ma'am, for all the announcements that has just been made. I think you and your team have worked so hard to ensure that the community radio stations in this country would be sustainable. 12 minutes is 1/5 of an hour, which could really bring in a lot of resources for the community radio stations. Ms. Vasudha Gupta, Principal Director Akashvani, Mr. Tim Curtis, Director UNESCO Regional Center in New Delhi, Ms. Archana Kapoor, my colleagues at UNESCO, Mr. Hezekiel Dilmani and Ashita Singh, colleagues from MIB. I can see a couple of colleagues who have joined us today, and my colleagues from Prashar Bharati, CEMCA, and SMART, and most importantly, the radio activists who are assembled here today. My best wishes to one and all on the 11th World Radio Day, celebrated worldwide, thanks to the recognition accorded by UNESCO and the UN system. And this year, as was mentioned by my colleague, Mr. Tim Curtis, the theme is a century informing, entertaining, and educating. It's a very significant theme. And we resonate with all the three themes: informing, entertaining, and educating. And it's a century of doing this, so which is really remarkable. And thanks to UNESCO that we are able to celebrate the 11th World Radio Day today. So in India, the advent of community radio, the medium is not a passive one anymore. It's actually an active one. So the passive listener can indeed become an active learner, an active lifelong learner. That's what you've all demonstrated in the last 20 years of the community radio movement. So congratulations to one and all. And we have 487 of you today, but I'm sure in days to come there will be many more to arrive. And my own organization, the Commonwealth Educational Media Center for Asia, has been one which has been a proponent of radio for a long time. And although the surge of the educational radio was there soon after the Green Revolution, and my own mentor, Professor M.S. Swaminathan, who was awarded the Bharat Ratna last week posthumously, has been one of those who've seen the benefits of radio in his Green Revolution. Training and visitation program relied largely upon the radio and television broadcasting, which enabled people, particularly the common people, the farmers, to actually benefit from. And we even had a variety of rice called the rice radio rice as a variety that was pronounced during the Green Revolution. Now, at the advent of the internet and the new technologies, the question is, will the radios survive? And the answer is really not very strange. The answer is yes, the radios will survive, because the one and the only resilient tool, technological tool that we have witnessed in the last 100 and odd years has been the radio. And as you would know, about 4 billion people tune into the radio stations. And indeed, it's a everyday tool for people. So it's not just 13th February is the World Radio Day. It's every day is a radio day for all of us. And at CEMCA, we tried in the last 2 years looking at how radio can become a learning tool rather than just a passive listening tool. And we have worked in the past together with the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Ministry of Ayush, Ministry of Science and Technology in promoting messages around nutrition, family health, welfare, well-being, physical wellness, and so on. And our experience has been remarkable, particularly in terms of nutritional health that we promoted together with the Ministry of Science and Technology. There has been a lot of progress in terms of how the communities thereafter benefited from the local resources and ensured that the nutritive intake for the family was ensured. So in the recent years, we have worked closely with the 3 organizations, ISAP, maybe they are present here, SM Sehgal Foundation, and also START, another organization, to try to understand if radio can become a tool in terms of promoting soil health in agriculture domain in the northern belts, and also the first 1,000 days of motherhood. Can radios be the medium for promoting programs that could systematically enable the community members to improve their own nutritive intake, responding to the advice provided by the system. So, we have seen and measured this through an independent evaluation to understand that the 1,000 days of motherhood, early motherhood, right from conception to the infant stage as the mother is nurturing, there has been a lot of improvement. I'm here to introduce this curriculum which we developed. In fact, in one of the meetings that Monica Sharma, my colleague, and I had with Ms. Neerja Sekhar, we were talking about a variety of ideas, and one of the ideas was whether we could use community radios and the radio audio systems as means to promote climate literacy. And today the booklet was released. So this is a systematic curriculum. And it's so interesting that just 4 days ago, the Nature magazine has published this very important article on the 9th of February, which says that having interviewed 130,000 individuals from 125 nations, the Nature magazine reveals that there is a widespread support to climate action. Notably, 69% of the global population expresses a willingness to contribute 1% of their personal income, and 86% of the people endorse pro-climate change social norms. And they also demand intensified political action. And this is an article of significance because it comes from a very reputed publication with a very good, well-rounded research. But they also note that despite these encouraging statistics, the study also documents that the world is in a state of pluralistic ignorance, wherein individuals around the globe systematically underestimate the willingness of their fellow citizens to act. So this is something that we need to note. This perception gap, combined with individuals showing conditionally cooperative behaviors poses challenges in furthering climate action. I think this booklet is an answer to such a situation where globally we find, although we have many COPs, COP 27, 28, and this would continue, unless at the grassroots communities we take action, we are not likely to see any major change in our climate change mitigation and adaptation. So as a response to this problem, where it's very well pronounced in SDG 13, goal number 13, SMART and CEMCA have come together to, having prepared the systematic curriculum, we are now looking to turning this into more an audio course, a course that would be at the hands of all the community broadcasters who could develop programs using storytelling as method to mainly reach out to the communities so that community action could take place. So the 20 years of our experience having worked with community radios should not only result in passive programming, but I think enabling that behavioral change within the communities so that this climate action can be a reality. And we could perhaps, from this side of the world, find solution to the problems that the Nature magazine has highlighted. So thank you once again. And this curriculum, we want to see this as one that has been developed by the grassroots communities, because 12 of the SDG fellows that were announced last year were a part of this curriculum development process. And this also becomes a tool for the grassroots and of the grassroots. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. I now have the distinct pleasure of inviting Ms. Neerja Sekhar to grace us with her special address. Please, ma'am.
Good morning to you all, and good morning to my dear friends on the stage, Mr. Tim Curtis, Ms. Archana Kapoor, Ms. Vasudha Gupta, Dr. Shadrach, and all my friends and colleagues here. I can see Esther ji here. I can see Mr. Izkil. There's so many of you we've worked with, and very happy to see you all, and congratulations on the completion of 20 years of community radio, where you all have been a great partner in this journey. And also in 23, we completed 100 years of radio in India. So congratulations to you all. We've moved a long way from Indian Broadcasting Company, which was a private company initially, then Indian State Broadcasting Service, ISBS, to All India Radio, which Mr. Fielden named in 1936, and then here we are, and then we moved to when the Supreme Court ordered that the airwaves are public property. So we moved to private radios and local and community radios. So it's been quite a journey. You've all of you in the private FM radios, in the All India Radio, and on the community radio side, we've all been together, you as content producers, we as listeners, and policy makers. So it really intrigues everybody on the kind of expanse and diversity of the Indian nation. And I talk in terms of languages. Even as we are celebrating the decade of indigenous languages, which UNESCO has announced for the entire world, in the 2011 census, the census recorded 19,569 mother tongues. They rationalized it further into 1,369 mother tongues and 121 languages. which means there were 270 identifiable mother tongues with more than 10,000 speakers in the country. That's a huge number. And 123 mother tongues came under the scheduled languages, the 22 scheduled languages, and the rest of the 147 mother tongues came under the 99 non-scheduled languages. So in this context, the UN Decade of Indigenous Languages becomes very, very important for all of us as we approach radio and media through the angle of languages, not only for promotion of languages that exist in the country, but also to reach out, bring information to the people in their own language. So that's how world over, all societies have developed. Wherever knowledge has been imparted through the language of the people, through the mother tongue of the people, people have been able to prosper much more. That's the significance of media, and that's the significance of reaching out to the people in the local languages. I was just listening to a podcast. As radio, we also have this medium of podcast. And I was listening to, I just came across this podcast on climate change, and it was from Anna Community Radio. Just a couple of days back, and it was a podcast on climate change by Dr. Kurian. Very, very crisply, he had discussed what climate change is about and how each one is impacted and what role each one of us can play. So this climate literacy handbook becomes very, very critical as we also work on the Sustainable Development Goals for a better future. So these are the areas that we have to work on, and reaching out to the communities is something, again, very, very close to our hearts. As we touch the communities, as we touch the Sustainable Development Goals, and as we reach out to the people to make the country a developed nation in the next few years, there's a huge agenda in front of us, and the radio will be one of the medium that will take us there with the support of all of you and with the support of UNESCO, CEMCA, and all partners that we have here. Thank you very much for joining us and for bringing me here today. There are a number of sessions we'll be discussing. We'll be talking about gender stereotypes. There'll be session on inclusivity and how to take the sector forward. And I would love to have a session with all of you on how to take the community radio sector ahead in terms of policy and the support that you need from the government. So we'll be, again, talking to you later. Thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah. So at this juncture, we also wish to announce the names of the SDG Fellows who were selected through a rigorous screening process. This fellowship reflects SMART's unwavering commitment in realizing the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Following an extensive review of 82 applications by a distinguished jury, we are proud to announce the recipients of the 4th cohort of SDG Fellows.
मैं एक बात ये तो बहुत बोलना चाहूँगी कि हमारे पास जितने भी प्रपोज़ल आए थे बहुत ही उम्दा थे, बट दुर्भाग्यवश SDG 5 जो कि हमारा जेंडर इक्वालिटी है उसके लिए हमें एक भी अच्छा प्रपोज़ल नहीं हासिल हुआ. ये हमें ये दर्शाता है कि हम अपने ऑब्जेक्टिव को हासिल करने में काफ़ी दूर रह गए हैं.
As you are all aware, we have mentored 17 SDG fellows in the past. This is our 4th cohort. Each of the fellows is mentored by community media experts and is expected to produce 6 to 8 quality programs on the chosen theme. The applications are judged by an esteemed jury. Our jury members for this edition were Ms. Gauri Chakraborty, Ms. Shefali Chaturvedi, and Mr. Tej Prakash.
बिना और देरी किए मैं मिस नीरजा शेखर मैम को आमंत्रित करूंगी कि वो एसडीजी फेलोशिप के 6 डिज़र्विंग विनर्स को फैसिलिटेट करें। तालियों के साथ स्वागत करते हैं हम अपने फेलोज़ का और उनके कमिटमेंट के लिए, और आशा करते हैं कि हम एक सस्टेनेबल और इक्विटेबल फ्यूचर बना सकें। विनर मिस एस महालक्ष्मी फ्रॉम एमओपी रेडियो स्टेशन फॉर एसडीजी 3 गुड हेल्थ एंड वेलबींग। तालियां। मिस्टर मुदस्सिर अली जामिया कम्युनिटी रेडियो 90.4 फॉर एसडीजी 3 गुड हेल्थ एंड वेलबींग। मिस पवित्रा from Kaljiam Samuga Venoli radio station for SDG 13 climate action. Mr. Shashi Kumar Mandakini की आवाज़ 90.8 FM for SDG 13 climate action. Miss Shikha Shukla Suno Sharda 90.8 FM for SDG 13 climate action. Mr. Anvoy Abhinav from Radio Utkal 91.2 FM for SDG 13 climate action.
I would now like to invite Nitika Kakkar for the vote of thanks. Thank you.
We take this opportunity to thank all our esteemed dignitaries present on the dais. A very special thanks to the respected Secretary Sir for sparing his valuable time to grace this occasion, and also Neerja ma'am. Thank you ma'am. A big thank you to the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Prasar Bharati and UNESCO for their constant support across all editions of the Radio Festival. Without them, TRF is not possible. We also express our heartfelt gratitude to all our guests, invitees, and everyone present in this hall today. It is your enthusiasm and participation that gives us the energy to go on year after year. We hope you all enjoy all the sessions we have lined up for you today. A very happy World Radio Day to all of you. Thank you.